3, 2, 1. And welcome back to the show. Of course, we are continuing our tour across the Concho Valley, interviewing head coaches of football teams before two-a-days starts, before the football season starts, just to make sure that you guys know what's going on. Of course, I got to bring in my team here with Ryan Chadwick and James Bellini. Guys, what's going on?
Glad to be here.
Oh yeah, we're in it now. We're getting through summer, so
yep,
we'll be here before you know it.
Exactly. It's the first week of June, so some summer workouts have been going. Of course, we want to bring in our coach, the head coach of the Sonora Broncos, Coach Blake Weston. Coach, how is it going? How's the summer workouts been going? Just give me kind of a general feeling of what the Sonora Broncos are feeling like right now.
Man, going well. We had a good week so far. We got through our 7-on-7 SQT. We hosted an SQT a couple weeks ago. So just getting rolling in our summer workout. It's been really, really good.
All right, kind of reflecting on last season, y'all made it y'all were the first seed in y'all's district.
Sure, yes, sir.
You went off, you beat two teams, and then you played Holly. What was that like? What was being in that game against Holly, who everybody knew was really going to end up being state champions? How was that? How was
man,
that
that's what I told our kids. Against teams like that, you have to play perfect. You can't turn the ball over, and an early drive, but they were really good, as everybody saw across the state of Texas. A really, really good football team. We had some unfortunate turnovers early. I thought we moved the ball real well offensively, did really well, but again at that point we were clicking on all cylinders. Did some things that kind of gave them some fits too, but they're the best team in the state of Texas, and it showed, man. We played them right here. Really good football team. Coach Abels does a great job. Had those kids rolling, and congrats to those dudes. If you're going to lose to somebody, why not be the state champs, right? We feel like, I get a text at the state championship game, and you can't really compare apples to oranges. But, we had somebody, Coach, I think we could have played with these guys here. I'm like, well, we saw them 3 weeks ago. Man, they're a really good football team. And what they did in Jerry's world was pretty stinking impressive.
Yeah. But the real thing is, how would you compare the Sonora Broncos to them? Of course, the final score to that game, just for people that don't know, is 57-26. Of course, you said there were some turnovers down there late, but they're going to be coming back. They're going to be somebody who y'all might be facing in that third round of the playoffs again, because everyone, I think, has high hopes for you guys. So
yes,
how
sir.
do you compare your team versus Holly this year, I guess, moving into it?
They graduated a whole lot. And we graduated. We graduated not as heavy, I guess, is what I'm saying. Holly is. We bring back a lot of key pieces. They're anytime you graduate, your quarterback and your running back. And I'm telling you, the one that I always talked about from Holly was their center, the Hez Parker kid that also played the linebacker. Man, he might have been one of the best football players on that football team, and probably the unsung hero of that team, man. To play center, and him and the Compton kid at linebacker were the best linebacking core that I've seen in a long time in football. So to lose those guys, now Coach Abel's going to have them ready, and they're going to do a good job, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. But I think this year, so are we. So I think we've got the pieces coming back, and a lot of explosive pieces and defense and leadership on our side, where we will welcome that game in the third round if
ready for it.
If it so be that way. If everything works out that way, we will for sure welcome that game back. Yes, sir.
All right, there you go.
And Coach, just talking about how that yes, y'all did graduate some guys, but not nearly as much as guys or teams like Holly.
Sure.
But moving into next year, specifically just for the fans out there, who are the guys that the fans need to watch out for? The ones that are going to do make the flashy plays, best athletes on the team, the ones that are really going to light up the scoreboard.
Right. Talking flashy, I mean, you can't go without number 12. Butron, our quarterback. He kind of came out of it this year. My first year there 2 years ago, he was. He was a work in progress. He hadn't played quarterback before then, and kind of moved around. Last year was year 2, and man, he really excelled. From last year to this year, I think his biggest transition is throwing the football. And I talked about our SQT a couple weeks ago, man. To go 4-0 and qualify for the state SQT is huge. He's starting to throw the ball, and last year he rushed for 2,100 yards. So our read and run game he's very familiar with, but now he's going to be pretty dangerous through the air too, which is going to make us that much better. He's one of them. Obviously, every week, I think from about week 3 on, everybody that came into the game was trying to stop number 12. That was everybody's goal. Hey, stop number 12. Number 1, Edgar DeLuna. He's had 2 years in a row now where he's had 190 tackles on the defensive side, but he came offensively this year, had a big showing. I'm not a very good coach. We didn't play him a lot of offense till late in the season, man. But to rush for 800 and to have 500 yards receiving in probably about 7 to 8 games of work on the offensive side, I think you're going to see him on the offensive side a lot this year in a lot of different places. You're going to have to know where number 1 is at all times. We got, you're talking about Dylan Ford and Owen Jones and Juan Castillo and Bert Rodriguez and Joey Tellez and Jose Guerra. We've got running backs Josh Lozano and Eli Perneda. I mean, there's a lot of weapons out there in Sonora, Texas. So when you're talking about lighting up the scoreboard and kids coming back, the 2 that come to mind, for sure that most people in the Concho Valley are probably going to see a lot and returning from last year are 2 leaders in Edgar and Jaime. Those 2 kind of make us tick, man, on both sides of the ball.
All right, what about on we've heard about the skill players and everything.
Sure.
What about the lines, the guys who don't get
right? We bring back 4 of those guys up front. That's the biggest part of our whole thing. We bring back 4 of those dudes.
I think your center had a 97 grade.
Man, that dude's okay. So he.
I'm gonna say Semeniego.
Semeniego, yeah. He's our glue, man. He makes us go. Super smart. Very good leader up front. He's coming back. Our left tackle Jacob Martinez is a big left tackle. He's coming back. He's another 3-year starter. Our left guard Melo Alviso, he's coming back, and then our right tackle Christian Martinez is coming back. We're looking.
So you basically have a full line back.
Yes, sir. Looking for a right guard right now.
And who do you think would be the meanest out of those 4? Like who's the one that's gonna grab you and just be nasty with you?
Man, they're all good dudes. but Elijah, I guess, we had just a funny story. We had he ran some scout team this year, 2A football. He runs a little scout team. Our defensive coordinator may or may not have called him I don't want to say a bad center, but he said, hey, he made the comment, our starting center can't get the snap back there. Well, about the next 4 plays, the D tackles were not making any plays. Elijah is just
turned it on.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So just a great kid. Man is super smart, super smart. A game earlier, or not late in the season last year, we run a play where we're pulling both our guards. And I look up and our center's pulling. I'm like, what's he doing? So I pull him to the sideline. He's like, well, coach, they slid to this front. So I told him to take that. And he's just, knows the game, man, knows the game.
Well, and sometimes, when you are, if you're a smart offensive lineman, that helps you more than if you're mean or if you're strong or
for
if you're
sure.
big. If you're smart, you can use leverage
yes,
in your
sir.
body.
And knowing where the ball's going and where it's supposed to hit and all that, and placement and all that stuff, man, he's got them rolling up front. And so the one thing that we'll have where we're talking line, we graduate 4 up front of the defensive line in our 4-man front.
Gotcha.
So on the offensive side, we bring back 4, but we do graduate big. That's really where we're graduating big is on our defensive front.
Any of those 4 going to move over?
Yes. And that's what we were talking about, earlier. We're going to have some kids step up. We've got a great group of kids, but we're going to play. Elijah might have to play some D tackle this year. Jacob, Martinez, he played late in the season some D tackle, but those kids might not get the break they had last year with some of those kids we had that were able to spell and play on both sides. So that's where we're kind of graduating heavy is on that defensive front. But we got the kids to do it. They're just going to have to be in shape to get it done.
Go.
And Coach, I know that, of course, We've already talked about Holly and how that could be a game that y'all are looking forward to next year if it comes up in the third round of the playoffs again. You know? But other than that, just on that schedule, like I could definitely see y'all winning district again. That's probably not too crazy to say. But in your opinion, on your schedule, what game are you looking out for? Which one do you have circled that all your guys are excited for?
Man, Ballinger. Just because it's week 1. I know that's the typical thing to say, but, man, we're not overlooking anybody. I think, El Dorado's always fun. Our kids, El Dorado, the rivalry, and Ozona, being close right there. I had somebody ask me this morning, Coach, do we really have to drive to Anthony? Yes, we have to drive to Anthony. We're going to make that 6 hours. That one is kind of I don't want to say a trap game, but, man, driving 6 hours is a long way on the road. We've got to prepare weekly just because there's different battles in every game. Reagan County is super athletic right now. Christoval, they're going to do what they do, and Otto's been there, and they're going to be solid at what they do. And then Forsan's going to be big and physical. I think our big deal is going to be adapting every week, and we did a good job this year, but just being a year into it, being 3 years in the system now, getting a year further into it. But, man, it's hard to say one game to circle. Right now it's Ballinger just because it's week 1. I mean, that's who we're getting kind of ready for. But, the El Dorado game's always fun just because it's right there. Coach Tuttle, I know him pretty well. So that game's fun. Ozona's always fun. Man, they all are. Any Friday night in Sonora, Texas is a good night, So, but, and look, and we Oklahoma one too. Coach Jocelyn's a good friend of mine, and we turned it over quite a bit, and they played well. But, there's man, circle them all.
Yeah.
We're not going to overlook any of them. We know that we can be pretty good, and we can make a deep run, and we can the sky's the limit for the Sonora Broncos this year. But also we can't go look ahead to week 7 or 8 or 9, whatever it is. We got to take care of ours week 1, and we've got to sharpen what we do every week. But.
So in the schedule this past season, y'all only dropped 2 games in the regular season.
Yes, sir.
And 7 points. I mean, 7 points
yes,
is
sir.
Undefeated or not. Of course, the 2 games were against Coahoma, lost by 4, and
yes,
then
sir.
Reagan County or Big Lake and lost by 3.
Yes, sir. 11 turnovers in those 2 games as well.
I was going to say, so can we explain? Yeah, so can we talk about those 2
Coach
games and what you're moving on and learning, I guess, into maybe to shoot for that perfect season this year.
Don't turn the ball over. I just said we had 11 turnover. I think it was 6 against Coahoma. Actually, I don't think. I know it was 6 against Coahoma and 5 against Reagan County. Again, that's where we go back to taking care of your job 1 week at a time. That when you turn the ball over 5 and 6 times, that's it's never good. But like you said, to lose by 4 and 3 points, why turning it over 6 and 5 times?
Yeah,
that's how
that's
good
pretty
we.
good.
Yes, that's how good we were last year. And I think we surprised some people last year. Really, to be honest with you, not me because I get to see those kids every day. I don't think this year we're going to come in as a surprise. I think a lot of people know that we have 9 returning on the offense and 7 returning on the defense on a team that was pretty dang good. So there's not going to be very many surprises this year. But the great thing is our kids have taken it, man. Let's go. We're last year we got to play the underdog role a little bit. This year we don't get to do that. Hey, we're the top dogs. Now let's go play like it. Yep. And I'd rather have it that way anyway. I'd rather have a target on my back. Man, give us your best. We're going to give it our best, and may the best team win. So I'd rather have it that way than be the underdogs.
Yeah, making the other team have to worry about you.
Right. Yes,
you
sir.
having to worry about the other team.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
All right, Coach. We know about Butron. We know about DeLuna. Who's one guy on your team that you think is just going to take a huge leap forward and be an underdog who's going to show up and show out and be the guy?
Man, and I'm speaking on size here now too, but we've got a few, but Dylan Ford, who just won our state championship in golf in 2A, is a great athlete, and I'm going to tell you right now, a name to watch, and he was pretty impressive in the 7-on-7 is George Leha. Both dudes are not big in stature, but man, on the football field can get after it and play. But again, we talked about a bunch of names earlier. I think Owen Jones is going to have a big year for us. He's a big tight end type H-back kid for us. 6'3", 200 pounds. He was more of our blocker this year. He had a huge catch against Olney.
I remember, that was a clutch.
We run and Butron's legs gets him out of trouble and makes a big third down conversion late in that game to seal that one against Olney. And Dylan Ford as well catches one on 4th and 16, makes a 17-yard grab on that. I think our big deal is going to be our receiving core because we're going to have to throw the ball better if we want to get to where we want to get to, and which I think everybody's goal. And our goals this year is to get to Jerry's World.
Yeah, one player can.
Yeah.
Through the regular season, one player can make that big difference. But once you want to start getting up in great teams, it's the whole team.
Yeah, you got to be able to do it. Yes, you got to be able to do it all. And I think that we've kind of put an emphasis on throwing the football a little bit. Like I said, and we have qualified for state 7-on-7, which is huge. We haven't done that in a couple of years. Butron's getting more comfortable with just where people are and moving them around and doing stuff. And it's been fun to just see him grow, and his confidence is through the roof right now. So, but he's our leader. When you're talking about leaders, it's great. We have a leader in the back end. We got Edgar, who's leads kind of in the middle, and then Sam Diego up front. Man, we've got three, and they're all going to be seniors, but just three really good leaders that are going to take us to the next level. So.
All right, just like in every Cover 1, we're going to end with a little bit of final questions here, so we'll all pop off one. I will go with mine first. Coach, got your district, you won them all last year, of course. We dropped one game last year in district against Big Lake.
Yes,
is Big Lake, you think, the biggest threat for second place in the district, or what team, I guess, do you think is likely going to land in that second place seed right underneath you guys?
Man, that question already. But I think our district.
I know you're close with the coaches, so I mean,
I am.
You've been talking to these guys.
I think it's going to be tight. Forest Hand's always going to be good too. Coach Phillips does a great job. They've been running that for a long time. They're very different teams. Forest Hand is going to line up and smash you and pound you. I would say Big Lake Forest Hand, yes sir. I don't know that. Cristoval's always in the hunt as well. I would say one of those, three. I'd like to say we're going to be number one of those.
Yeah, but I mean, I put y'all number one.
They can fight for second, third, fourth. I'm good with it.
All right. Chadwick.
All right, Coach. James kind of asked this question earlier, but I'm going to phrase it a little bit differently. I know that you said you've graduated a bunch of guys off your defensive line, so it could be at that spot there. But talking about how seasoned this year's team is and how many guys you're returning, let's look to the future a little bit. Like, is there a particular underclassman that has really just wowed you that you're like, wow, this kid's going to be pretty good?
Man, I'll tell you, the one kid I didn't talk about, Jose Guerra, in 7-on-7. He is going to be a sophomore. He works in the weight. He's about 6'2", about 190 pounds right now.
So a beast. Okay,
yeah.
Just say it. It's all right.
We've kind of moved him to corner a little bit in the spring, and man, he's done really well with it. Yesterday we did some football skill stuff and just running routes and catching the ball. He's just a big body that moves really well. I think he's going to be really good for us. I know we've said a bunch of names, man. We've got a lot of weapons, but when you're asking of one kid that maybe people don't know about, he was on our JV last year, and was really good there too. Our JV was 8-2 last year. It's not, but played really well for us there. But if you're asking for one name and it's not the forwards or the ones that I've named earlier, man, I think he could be that guy. Kind of skill guy up front on our D line. Look for it. We talked about of course Elijah and Jacob up there too. But I think when you start talking about Jaden Chavarria is a big one that could come out and be a big name for us too. He played for us a lot this year. Has a motor, but him and Dalen Luna and Logan Mayfield can kind of solidify those D tackle spots, man. Those are three other names that aren't probably skill guy names, but in the trenches down there that if they come on like they have been, it's and give our Elijah and Jacob maybe a little break on the defense side. That's going to be huge for us this year, But I think we still, when you start looking, we've got 5-6 man rotation at that D tackle spot where we could work those guys in. Our D ends are still kind of in question. But and Guerra's kind of a hybrid. He can play corner. It's weird to say. He can play corner. He can play linebacker, probably play D-end. He's that type of kid, that type of athlete. So,
all right, James, final question.
This kind of caught the last two coaches off guard, but I've spent some time down there.
Sure.
When you run off the field and come shake my hand at Olney and everything, that means a lot.
Right.
But I want to talk about the community. What has the community of Sonora meant to you personally? I know Butron, your son, you told me your son is Butron's picture
Right.
on
Yeah. He's on his iPad.
back. So
when I
what
get
is
up in the morning, I see Jaime Butron on my iPad. Yeah.
So what has the community meant to you down there in Sonora, and what have you learned about yourself coaching down there?
Man, it's you. I was there for 9 years previous. It's kind of it's home for me. I've known a lot of those kids. I got to coach Butron's older brother, DeLuna's older brother. A lot of these kids. But we talked about Bert Rodriguez. His cousin was Andres House. I mean, I've coached all these kids. They're kinfolk of some sort. So I've been around Sonora for a long time, man. The community is awesome. You've been down there, man.
Oh, yeah.
The atmosphere, the electricity, it's back. It's great. Got great kids that work hard. The tradition. I mean, that's the biggest thing. There's just. But if you need something Sonora football, man, they're gonna drop and do it for you, man. We got a really good atmosphere down there. Like I said, now my son. It was funny. He's up in the weight room yesterday. And our 4x4 went to state. Well, one of the days it's hot outside and they're running without their. So my son refuses to wear a shirt now because that's what the boys do. They don't wear a shirt, so I'm not going to wear one.
There you go.
But and like you said, on his iPad, when I get up in the morning and at basketball games, Butron took a picture with his iPad or something, and so now that's his screensaver on his iPad is Jaime Butron's face. So when I get up in the morning, take it off the charger and get it to him, I get to see Butron first thing in the morning. So.
All right. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you coming on and taking a little bit of time out of your day. Of course, summer workouts are going, so I'm sure you got to get back out there.
Yes, sir. Got him going at 5 today. So
Perfect. All right. Well, this is Coach Blake Weston. He is the head coach of the Sonora Broncos, and of course, we're the Cover1 crew of Matt Trammell, James Bellini, and Ryan Chadwick. For everybody here, we will see you guys next time.
See ya.